Hi guys, and welcome to our 13th community call. Right today, we have a lot of guests, which are amazing speakers. Right, we have AK, we have Oka, we have Darlington, and we have Elias. All right, so I will actually like let all of them to introduce themselves. But my name is Paul, and I'm the community manager at Starknet Africa. And today we'll be going. We'll be Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you clearly. Then.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can hear you.
yeah.
Amazing. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Paul. Who want to go first, guys? Anyone? Yeah.
Yes, introducing ourselves. Hey guys, I'm Elias Hezron. I am working on a project called OneRamp, and basically what we're doing at OneRamp is onboarding people into Starknet. So we allow people to buy stablecoins, USDT and USDC on Starknet. And we're currently in Uganda, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, Zambia, Tanzania, and we're expanding to other markets. Yeah.
Awesome. I'll go next. Hi, everyone. I'm Okai Motuebe. I am currently building an on-chain game studio on Starknet. So this is my first game in beta. It's called Mancala, and I've been working on other games. So right now I'm working on a game. It's a mini territory war game, and I've been participating in Starknet for about 8 months.
All right, I think I'll go next. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Darlington.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Darlington, and I'm currently building Horus Labs, which is like a block research and development labs on Starknet. We're all experimenting with like a couple of products. One of them is like the one which we are better launching on 17th, Coloniz. And yeah, I'm very much happy to be here. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll go next. Hello, everyone. For some of you, I've already met. For some of you, this is a new face. I'm very excited. I'll take slightly more than my friends here to just tell you a little bit more about me because that's going to bring us to the context of what's going to be next. My name is Karen Dean Kamal. You can call me KK. This is how I go. This is my nickname, my initials. I am Moroccan, born in Morocco and bred. I'm an entrepreneur myself, initially in Web 2. And then moved into Web3, launched a business, launched then a VC, invested in about 30 companies across the Cosmos ecosystem and also different layers. And then ended up realizing that the core focus and the ethos of what got me into blockchain initially narrowed down to some stuff that weren't really pleasant to me. And I decided to basically leave and focus on my next endeavor. And that was basically a fund focused on Web3 founders in Africa, tackling local inefficiencies, leveraging blockchain. And this is how I crossed my path with Starknet, with whom I've had a sort of past experience with many sort of leaders inside that were also involved in my previous company. And that's how we joined forces to basically announce what we're going to be announcing in this call, which is going to be fully 100% focused on African founders for the years to come. Very happy to be here. Back to you, Paul. Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear me, right?
Can you hear? Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Cool. It's nice to meet you, right? Very first time I met KK was in Kenya when we hosted the Kenyan. Yeah. So first off, I want to actually um, love that one, right? I want to know what your journey has been so far, and as well, like tell us like the new product you built, which is Coloniz.
Sorry, did you call me? I don't think I heard your question. You're breaking a bit.
Yeah, did you hear me?
Yeah, I just didn't get you completely. I don't know if it's from my end or it's from your end.
Yeah.
Can you just come again?
Yes. I said I want.
There is an echo, I think, on your end, Paul. Yeah, I don't know if that's on my end only or there's a little bit
Yeah,
of
I
an
think it falls end. Yeah.
Okay, it dropped off. Is there like a slide that you can share?
Not really. I don't think there's any slide, but I guess he was probably like asking the question as regards like what we're doing at Taurus Labs. So I guess I'll just continue with that till he's back here. Well, okay. So like I said earlier, Taurus Labs is basically like a blockchain research and development labs building on Starknet, and the goal basically is to experiment with products, try to like find things that that are solving like real problems, like real human problems, right, using like blockchain. And I think one of the first things we did work on was like pioneering like the port of Tukumba accounts to like Startnet. And I think that took most of like what we're doing last year. Then we did work on like some sort of like scaffolding tool called Starknet Scaffold. And I think at the same time that was when we began like working on Coloniz. So Coloniz essentially is like a tool that helps you like build like smart autonomous communities. Hi Paul, are you back?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm back now. Yeah.
Oh,
Very well.
okay. Yeah, so I'm not sure I got your question right, but I guess you're asking something about Horus Labs, and I just wanted to be sure I was not answering off point. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I was asking how has the journey been so far, and as well, I learned that you're building a new product, which is Colony. So I just want to like learn more about your journey as well. What Colony is all about.
Yeah, right. So, as I was saying earlier, so basically, Coloniz is basically like a framework to help you build like smart autonomous communities. And one of the reasons we really started building Coloniz, right, was we felt like the existing method by which people build communities is these both brands, organizations, products, right? We feel like they're not really scalable, right? Because we tend to utilize social platforms like Discord and Telegram and so on and so forth, right? And these platforms they have like certain challenges they pose, especially like for content creators and and brands and all those things, right? First of all, like you're generic. There's really not a lot. You can't really infuse like your your brands and your brand like how do I put it, virtues, right, and all those things into like your product. So with Colonies, right, you get like a framework to build out your own like custom community from scratch. You can customize the entire experience from like the onboarding flow, defining like how you intend like users to join your community, if you want it to be an open community or like maybe an NFT gated community for like premium members who probably hold like some sort of like NFT collections, or you want it to like maybe it'll be like a a paid gatekeeping, right, for maybe it's like a paid channel where you share like valuable informations and all those things, right? So you get to customize the whole experience, right, from the onboarding flow directly to like the look and the feel, right, and how like customers tend to like interact with the community. It also comes with like an embedded like AI AI agent, right, which is basically like an intelligent chatbot that helps you like do a whole lot of things from like answering questions as regards like a community. You can teach it to carry out support related tasks and queries. Can also help summarize like conversations within group chats and so on and so forth, right? And yeah, a whole lot of interesting features from down to like incentivization features and gamification features that basically helps like your community members basically increase engagement within your community. So yeah, it's something we've been building for like about I think 4 to 5 months now, and it will be better launching on like on 17th. Yeah.
Nice. That's cool. I can't actually wait to test this, right? Because I feel you are coming with a very new idea. Also, I'm actually like I'm quite interested to like know who would you refer as your competitor when it comes to what you're currently building.
Okay, so I think when we talk about competitors, I guess it still boils down to platforms like Discord and Discord, Telegram, and maybe Discord. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Cool. So okay. So you're the next person like I have questions for, right? I mean, I tried out your new platform, the beta launch, Mancala, and it was very, very nice. So I would actually like love to hear your thoughts like around it and why like you chose to build Mancala, and also what's like your long-term plans for Realms of Ra?
All right, thank you for that. Yeah, I'll answer the first question. You said why I chose to build Mancala. So again, I'm relatively new to on-chain gaming, so I thought I could pick something that is relatable. Mancala is a game I've played as a young kid, and it's a relatively simple project to get started with. So I picked Mancala to test it, but I also relatable to a lot of Africans. So I built the game to learn a lot about Dojo and just integrate better in the network. So you ask for the long-term goal of Realm of Ra. Realm of Ra is a gaming studio. In the foreseeable future, I want to build on-chain games. I think it's a market that I believe it will make a difference in the Web3 ecosystem, because I see a lot of like DeFi protocols or DeFi projects and other games, but I'm looking at things that can, bring about engagement. I think on-chain games can be that next thing that will be the product market fit and the Web3 products. So I decided to explore that. Picking Mancala as the first thing, learned a lot about it, and now I would explore other games, building other games. So working on a game is called, it's a mini territory war game. It's going to explore, we're going to be using Dojo and Celestia. So there's a new thing called it's fractal scaling, and it's just kind of like bringing a new. It's relatable to be an app chain, but reduces like liquidity fragmentation. So we can bring that kind of thing on there, and it will improve the user experience of on-chain gamers. So instead of you paying like a lot for transaction fees, you're going to be paying like literally for the session, which I think will be a good thing, because I think there's a lot of users who want to pay a lot of money to play games. And if you can reduce that cost, I think it'll be good. So I'm working on that next. So I'm going to be testing that. And hopefully by the end of the month, I should also drop like a beta on that too.
That's nice. I mean, I didn't actually get the name, but what's the name of the project again?
It's a mini territory war. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. That's cool. And I'm looking forward to that as well. So Elias, right? I'm just trying to make sure that we finish on time, right? So Elias, you've been reading OneRamp for some time, and I've been following as well. But I actually want to like know what's the state of OneRamp is right now on Starknet, and also like your long-term plans, like I asked okay. I can't hear you.
You're on mute, dude.
You're muted.
Yes, you can hear me now. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So what's the state of OneRamp on Starknet? The volume so far has not been very great. However, we did start a conversation with Bravos, and we hope to be implemented on Bravos, and that is going to greatly improve our distribution. So that the users on Bravos would be able to access OneRamp through the Bravos wallet. We are also working on like marketing strategies to get people on board. But we noticed that a lot of people are transacting on the exchange and not like on the widget. So we're seeing how best we can do that. What are the long-term strategies? So currently we do support 5 countries, we do support 6 countries, and we are looking at expanding to so our next target is South Africa, after South Africa, Cameroon, Malawi, and it's on a growth trajectory. And once we have those markets, we just need to get the wallet providers on Starknet to incorporate our service, and everything will be amazing. We already have the documentation, the APIs, everything is ready. Yeah.
Awesome. So out of the countries you mentioned, like which one are you exploring like first?
The biggest volume comes from Kenya right now. The biggest volume of users comes from Kenya. But okay, back to your question, which country are we going to next, like immediately? That's South
Yeah.
Africa. So we are going to South Africa next, and then we shall do Cameroon and Cameroon and then Malawi. Also, I wanted to say that we have been working for some time now. We have been working on a mobile application, and the mobile application is not going to just be on and off ramping. The mobile application is going to be utilities as well. So you will be able to pay for goods and services using your stable coins on Starknet directly from the mobile application. So we are beyond the DeFi of buying coins and trading. We are trying to put utility, and so that people can use their stable coins directly from their wallet using our application. Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's very amazing. I mean, is it going to have like features we have an M-Pesa or something quite different?
Yeah, it's going to so for like Uganda, Kenya, it's going to have pay bill. You can be able to pay for Uber, you can be able to pay for electricity, you can be able to pay water bills, buy airtime, like all the things you do right now with your mobile money. You should be able to do it with your cryptocurrency without necessarily having to change it to mobile money. So you just pay it normally. And for Nigeria, you'll also be able to currently on OneRamp, you can be able to sell your stable coins and get Naira, and it's almost instant. And you'll be able to also do the same in Nigeria. So get a person's account number, send them money as soon as you bought something from them, and yeah, and just get going.
Awesome. I mean, that sounds very good. So right now we are heading to KK Kamal, right? So actually, he said a lot about his upcoming idea, upcoming plan, upcoming project, which is the Africa Venture Fund. So we actually want to hear more about this and how it's going to help the builders on Starknet, African builders on Starknet to grow beyond like where we are right now.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Paul. Yeah, and the reason why this is sort of also exciting is that we're going to go public, although we're live now. It is okay because we wanted the community and sort of all the people that were involved from day one and also that joined recently to have this sort of presentation before we go public about it about 24 hours from now. So it's exciting. As I said, I've shared a little bit about my background. The reason also on Starknet, and some founders, Elias and so on, are here for a long time and know basically that Starknet has always been putting, efforts. There was Paul, there were so many other, Darlington, Okai that joined recently, but we are willing to do a lot on the ground. However, let's be blunt, there has been some sort of focuses on so many areas that made us be not very precise about the moves that we were doing on the ground. Yet I'm not saying that everything is going to be perfect tomorrow. We're still going to be doing mistakes, but we've taken a stance that in order to support sort of African Web3 founders, and more specifically in different regions, we had to have something that is dedicated to it. And it starts with humans, that's one. So with a lot of humility, I'm bringing my 100% time, energy, and focus into this. And it comes also with obviously capital allocation, that's number two. And then there is three, which is not stopping at capital allocation, is how basically do you help all of those founders that although have now the potential means to build their ideas and MVPs to go into the next phase. So this is what I'll be basically focusing on, trying to share as much with you. I'll go over a few slides just so that you have it also in a visual phase, and then we can go into Q&A if you have any question, and then I'll pass it over back to Paul for the feedback about 2024, but also what's coming for 2025. So let me share my screen with you guys. Please confirm that you're seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah,
right.
so yeah, we can say it.
Amazing. So this is going to be Africa Ventures Fund 1, launched fully on Starknet. The reason why I'm saying one is that we're very bullish about what's next, but let's just focus now on the first one. As I said, I introduced myself, I'm not going to repeat, but most of you don't know me. I'm sort of new to Starknet, but been in the space for the last sort of 6-7 years. and started mainly, as I said, in Web2, Web3, Cosmos ecosystem, but we're interested into the entire scalability of L2s, and we're looking at Starknet, and joined forces recently to basically launch this initiative. When we look at the founders like Elias and so many others on the ground, what you realize is that if we sort of summarize it into three big points, founders, when they are facing sort of growth in Africa, are limited by three things. First one is capital. Second one is, even if you have capital, sometimes it's hard to find sort of talents to back your growth in different sort of coding languages and different expertises. And then there is that limited sort of support system and networks. There's a lot of foundation doing a lot of things, but when it comes to the groundwork, once you are a founder, you face so many difficulties on a daily basis, and therefore all of those mentorship program incubators and accelerators are sort of less common, which is a lack, and sometimes it could be struggle for founders to go beyond those phases and so on. And then we'll come into one point that Elias has also mentioned, is the sort of penetration and how we can distribute our model. Although we're building a great business, how we can basically expand it across different regions as well, not be just limited to one country. The Africa Ventures will be focusing on very targeted teams. Let me break it down. The first one is going to be the fact that we will be looking at a founders mix. This is not meaning that someone that is not coming with a founders mix is not going to be eligible. It's just that we're going to be pushing to help to find a sort of a co-founder that is going to be more tech if you're business, or more business if you're tech. And the reason is that we find that this is the duo of founder that is having more chances to succeed. Ideally, obviously, one of them being locally based in the market that you try to tackle. From a team size, realize also that with the 1 to 5 is really great. It's just in the starting block, so to say. But this is flexible. When there's a team of 10 to 15 or whatever, we're not going to say obviously no. But in terms of growth, also, the 0 to 1 phase has been done. What I mean by the 0 to 1 phase is if you have a paper that is basically having your rough idea of it, this may be slightly too early for the Africa Ventures Fund, but this does not mean that Starknet will not be backing you. It just means that basically there's going to be those seed grants that are going to be more allocated to your stage in the business. And then as soon as you accomplish the first KPI milestones of those seed grants, you can potentially be eligible for more of that position of the 1 to 10 growth with the Africa Ventures Fund. Then it brings us to the MVP, focus on teams who obviously have sort of a first traction, client revenue opened up in a few countries, looking to go a little bit beyond that. And there are most of them. Again, this is not, for example, excluding anyone else, but priority is put into solving sort of inefficiencies locally. And this could be B2C or B2B leveraging blockchains. The reason why I put exceptions to this thesis can be made if great cases. On-chain gaming is fantastic. Okay has mentioned it. We know that Starknet is the house for that. So, of course, we stay open, but the ideas, and I mentioned it in the beginning, when it comes to the ethos of blockchain, it feels good sometimes to go back to the roots of like, why is it even making sense to do anything that we're doing instead of just following the trends and so on and so forth. Don't get me wrong, we love trends, we try to follow them and see how we can back them, but this is the root of the thesis of this fund that is launched on Starknet. And the other one is obviously the openness to build and deploy the products on Starknet, and we'll see how we're also going to be helping those teams to go beyond. In terms of targeted regions, Africa is a big block. Everyone is coming and saying Africa, Africa. We have 54 countries, guys. Like, let's be real now. The focus will be on the countries that are having, some of the most priority when it comes to, okay, how can we help, as I said, businesses to, we hear a lot about cross-border transactions, remittances, and so on, but there's also sort of financial inclusion when it comes to even just having access to an app that allow you to invest. And I'll go even beyond that, that's some parts of there where you don't even have internet, and how could you potentially help some, farmers or whatever via USSD or whatever to get access to, like a little bit like mobile money, to get access to certain things. So this is what we're going to be targeting. Francophone Africa is going to be one part of the regions, and that means that everything you see there in sort of yellow, West African, so Senegal, Ivory Coast, Cameroon, you've mentioned Elias, and so on, and then potentially depending on the sort of focuses and the entrepreneurs that we're going to be having, going to Central Africa. Now, don't get me wrong, of course, there is an amazing part of Africa that we're going to be still focusing on, which is the blue one there. It's just that, we don't call it Francophone Africa. There is that sort of amazing pool of talents that we're having in Nigeria, also in Ghana, and the idea is to see how we can basically also focus there and back entrepreneurs on the ground there and serve also, that line that you guys know, also, Elias, you mentioned it, from, Tanzania, Rwanda, Kenya, and so on and so forth. This is sort of the main focus. There is also South Africa. I don't want to exclude it there. I just think that, personally speaking, I'm sharing this, I would love to hear some feedback. It's already quite sort of advanced when it comes to the penetration of different sort of business and so on. Yet, of course, I see the rationale behind it, Elias, to go there and so on. And maybe we could also back some entrepreneurs. But let's start from sort of priority. I wouldn't put South Africa as the first priority when it comes to that, but we'll be still happy, obviously, to back some entrepreneurs there. Now, what does that mean? How do we even get into a fund, and how is going to be basically empowering founders? Let's break it into 3 stages. We're going to be targeting basically the quality over quantity. So not sort of investing in more than 6 to 8 businesses per year on Starknet, but ones that we have really big focuses on, and we're bullish with them. So the first one is basically BD and technical due diligence. So identification of the entrepreneur, the assessment of their needs, what they do, and which kind of tech will be important for them, and how we can build and help them to basically deploy on Starknet. And that's going to bring us to the stage 2, which is going to be broken down into 2 sides. And I'm going to go into the next slide to explain it, but there's going to be a grant side, and there's going to be an investment side. And the reason why we're breaking it this way, I'm going to be very blunt here. You're coming into, as a founder myself, I've been there, in the early days. Obviously, you're needing funding, you're needing to get up and running, So most of the times, you would go and either you go through the traditional route and you get equity and you're getting sort of slashed, or you go and, there's those grants that are helping you getting up and running. The idea is that we want to be backing founders at that grant stage in the MVP phase with non-dilutive sort of grant to help them sort of get into that next phase. But we'll be following them and helping them with KPIs and milestones so that when they reach a point where they're going to be sort of VC fundable, if they want to go that route, because they could also be going without the VC fund, we'll be there to basically back them. So it's a grant that is sort of tied to an investment in equity to get them to the next level. This is the goal. Obviously, some of them are not going to make it. This is not what we hope, but at least from day one, you don't go and right away are taking equity in it. The equity is tied only to the success of the team once they go through the hard phase, basically, if that's making sense. And then the third part is, how can we shed light and literally not just have, so we're trying to do an amazing job, Paul, and so on, from a community perspective, but how can we have something that is really sort of on a weekly, monthly basis, a podcast for entrepreneurs, bring in entrepreneurs and talking about them? How can we create those sort of links with others and so on to also reach other markets when you're being successful in one? How can you basically adapt it and potentially white label some solutions for others and so on and so forth? And that's linked to the communication of the program, where we'll be basically on the ground and also trying to build those sort of cross-pollination between the teams amongst different markets. How is the sort of, once the team is getting a grant or funding, how is that going to mean? So this is going to be founders oriented. And founders oriented mean that me, myself, and a few people from the team who are founders themselves would be very close to the teams. So these last sort of weeks and months were the process of up and running. That meant that I was not personally at least close to the founders themselves, but now we're going to be announcing it. And that means that basically my time is going to be spent with founders, sometimes also in residencies locally, spending weeks on the ground and so on. And the idea is to share as much as possible, go as an open book through all the struggles. This is not aimed to be just sexy or whatever. This is aimed to be real. Founding a company is really hard. And I'm trying with a lot of humility to bring everything I can from my own mistakes and our own mistakes collectively with Starknet to try there with humility to back those founders. Multidiscipline team, this is what I meant. This is not going to be only me. There's going to be a tech team behind, an HR team, some BD and marketing efforts, for example, to do PR or whatever. We'll be providing that as a factory support. So that means that the teams will not be sort of charged for that or whatever. That's going to be sort of part of it. This is what we call in the jargon as a studio, so to say. So this is part of this Africa sort of venture fund. And the 12 months acceleration just mean that we expect teams to be slightly more independent after that, but doesn't mean that if they need our support and help, we won't be there. Now, I'm very glad because this is for the first fund. We're going to be sort of announcing it. This is going to be a million fund, exclusively sort of dedicated to African founders, including grants, equity, but also the events that we're going to be doing on the ground and founders residency, also in partnership with some local founder residency organizers. Some of you are in Ethiopia right now. We're backing this, and we'll be aiming also with that fund to be backing as many initiatives that are making sense to Starknet and for us and for the founders on the ground as possible. And let me sort of break it down to an idea of the figures. How is that going to be working? So the grant will be up to $150,000. So we're taking this to the next level, all right? So the seed grant and so on are great, as I said, to get you from 0 to 1. Now the 1 to 10, founders need funding. You need to aim potentially into Africa. And I go even beyond that, guys. You need to sometimes even aim potentially beyond Africa, because this is also how we get into the next level and the next phase of things. Those grants are going to be milestone based, and then are going to be tied, as I said, to up to $500,000 investment in equity. And this is going to be with other VCs that we are going to also be sort of introducing the teams to get them up and running and getting them prepared for that round. So this is for Fund 1. We hope that we'll be rolling this out in about 12 months, a year, and then we'll be going, hopefully, again, with our learnings, mistakes, and successes into Fund 2. And this is going to be exciting. So it's not just a one-year thing. It's hopefully something that is going to be set there for sort of the continent to keep pushing the boundaries and keep funding. This comes to an opening. There's KK is great, but I'm nothing. I will be very happy, and this is where now we're opening up. This is going to be public. We're going to be hiring an investment associate. That means that it's someone that is going to be basically more of an engineer, an investment analyst that is going to be basically doing all the technical DD of the teams that are going to be backing on the ground. So that's going to be in a full-time position dedicated to those founders. And then on the ground, we're going to have obviously sort of ecosystem partners in the different regions that we've mentioned. This is not exhaustive. It could go beyond that. I'm just sharing that these are sort of the main positions that we're going to be having there. So of course, this is an open bottle for anyone that think that they could fit or that they know anyone that could fit. Please reach out. We have a few use cases that are going to be exciting. The first one is called Madu. This is a company based out of Benin and Ivory Coast. It's a cross-border payment platform for businesses operating in those markets. And what they do is basically they want to create an order book on chain to allow local businesses to be able to pay their invoices abroad, but also for abroad companies in Europe and China and Asia and US to pay locally in, for example, XOF and XAF, which are the local franc CFA, basically by sending their wire into a Madu account that goes on chain, and then basically the order, there's an automatic order book engine that is making the transaction happen. And now when you look at this, they're building it in a way which will be potentially also white labeled in order to provide it to other businesses in different regions in Africa. So in terms of unlocking of FX liquidity for the continent, this is amazing, because this is a use case that is coming back a lot for many companies that are struggling. And the reason why they're struggling is that when you look at local banks, it takes you approximately 30 days to get a transaction done. You have to go to the bank, fill out the paper. They charge you up to 10%, and you have no tracking whatsoever. They are doing it obviously in a different way, more efficient, cost-friendly, and on chains that you can basically track the transaction. There are a lot of sort of similar businesses doing that, but I just wanted to focus on one of the sort of use cases that could be interested in that are basically going to be building 100% on Starknet. So that's great. Now let's talk about goals and metrics from a financial perspective. We're aiming, from this year, next year, I said 6 to 8 teams. So that's about 14 teams in the next 2 years as a minimum. We hope that this will keep on scaling. We'll bring Fund 2 and then maybe even break those numbers. In terms of transaction volumes, when it comes to the use cases that we're seeing right now, we're aiming to have something around $500 million of transaction volume on Starknet. And also when it comes to the users, there is an amazing company, I can't yet disclose the name, but that we're basically bringing also on Starknet, that in terms of users are cracking it. There is certainly the biggest one in West Africa as of now. And this means that there are some products also that are going to be opened up to those users. So in terms of activity also on Starknet, we're very bullish that actually the usage itself is going to come from the continent and not the other way around. And as I always like to say, it is blockchain is in need of Africa, maybe more than Africa actually needs blockchain. And then when it comes to the events and the residences on the ground, as I said, we're going to go really bigger on it. Events that we'll be sponsoring, but also residences that we're going to be hosting ourselves, putting founders together. Some of you already participated in some. They have amazing values. The idea is to double down on it, sometimes even co-sponsor some and do it together with some guys on the ground. And this is sort of the exciting thing about it. Now, from non-financial goals, amongst the first L2 to basically launch a fund there, and liquidity, financial inclusion when it comes to basic investment also on the ground, as I said, with a few different initiatives, USSD based and so on. And hopefully this fund itself with the companies that we're going to be funding in terms of job creation in the region will be great. So yeah, now close your eyes, guys, and imagine that we're going beyond Africa, because Africa, as I said, we're very bullish and we're in it from building from there. But think of it as something that we want to open as a global majority ventures, not just Africa ventures, because there's so many interconnectedness that we could do. There's so many things, Elias, we've been, for example, in Bangkok together. We've met with founders from other regions that are facing sort of the same struggles. Yes, there are going to be difference in terms of cultural nuances and processes on the ground, but the cross-pollination of successful ideas is possible. And this is where I believe that even when we're doing those residencies on the ground, we shouldn't just keep it amongst Africans only. We should actually have it with different people from different markets, so that we can also learn from each other into the different phases. Yeah, so the next coming up things are basically the kickoff and the announcement. This is going to be, so I'll officially publish this tomorrow, not this, but basically the launch. Like, this is a slide that were meant for you guys to be presented, but we're going to be announcing it. There's going to be some media press release from also Wednesday, and then we're going to start also the hiring process and onboarding and integration of the first teams and use cases. This is obviously also open for teams that were already on Starknet and they want to go to the next phase. And yeah, it's super exciting. And I'm sorry if I was a little bit longer, but I meant this to be hopefully helpful. Thank you, and I'm looking forward if there are any questions.
I mean, that was very cool. So I'm checking to see if we have questions from the audience and all. Okay, no questions as of now. Yeah, I mean, this is very amazing. It's basically going to help a lot of African builders to bring their ideas to life generally. I mean, it's also a motivation for founders to put in a lot of efforts to make things work generally, which is very cool. So
Absolutely, yeah.
do we have questions? Okay, Elias Darlington.
Personally, I'm impressed. We did have this conversation with KK last year, October, and I am glad that it's finally here. So yeah, I'm excited to see how it pans out. Excited to see how the projects that are going to keep building and how and the growth of Starknet within the ecosystem. So yeah, excited for that.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Thanks, Elias. And OneRamp definitely a big contender of that. So it was in the theory phase when we first spoke about 3 months ago. I said, give us the time because we're building this and we're going to go live, and 2025 is going to be the year. So we're pumped, man. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Hi, Kiki. Guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Battling on my network. All right. Okay. So I think it's actually a very amazing initiative. Big thanks to Kiki and the Starknet Foundation in general for pioneering this. So question I wanted to ask, right, was you mentioned something as regards I think two things. One, mentorship to access to talent, which I think are are key problems. I think we definitely needs to be solved, or solutions needs to be found. So I just wanted to ask how what's the plan for the whole the entrepreneurial mentorship program? How's that going to work?
Yeah, so there's going to be, so it's a two phases sort of answer to your question. The first one is that there's going to be, so the foundation is working on also sort of the streamlining of this when it comes to platforms, so that you can basically they have all the announcement of all the jobs that are going to be sort of looked after in the ecosystem from the team that are going to be building, so that people can actually directly apply. And then you can also, for a founder, have an idea of all the profiles that are available, that are building on Cairo and that are willing basically to be joining a team in different geographies with their salary expectations and so on, so that we can basically streamline this, sort of a Tinder between a founder and a developer, right? That's from one phase. Now, from the Africa Venture Fund itself, it's a few mentors in each of those expertise, as I said. So one is a founder himself that is having a sort of a mix of business and tech. Another one that is just literally an engineer and a tech expert, a blockchain one, and another one that is going to be marketing, another one that is going to be an expert in PR, basically everything related to the press, another one for growth. This is also a key one, right? Like, how do you, you have a product, it's functioning, it's amazing, you got your first client, you got a first revenue. How do you go from 1,000 user to 100,000 user in the next 12 months if I'm putting it in a big scale, right? So growth strategies and so on. So this is also something that we're going to be putting. So this is what I try to call a factory support. It's a combination of dedicated experts in each area that are going to be available for the teams, depending on their needs, to tap into.
Oh, interesting. That does make sense. And you confirmed, right? Like the announcements, the Starknet Africa fund should be kicking off like by Wednesday, right?
The launch itself, like it will start tomorrow. You may start to see a few announcements tomorrow. And I just said that press, always follows about 24 hours later. We'll send the press release tomorrow, and then it's going to be taken. Like today, for example, the market has been shook, so it was like, great that we didn't announce it today. Maybe tomorrow, after tomorrow, we don't know what's going to happen, but So tomorrow we officially announce it, and then press takes over, and then we'll hope to basically be keeping that momentum, as I said, with the first announcement of also of the first team that is going to be joining that fund that we invested in, and so on and so forth. Yeah, as I said, trying to keep a momentum across the year, and not just a one-time event, and then it dies out.
Thank you. I think that answers my question. Yeah.
Thank you, Don.
Yeah. For me, I think, I like the initiative of the fund. I think you're solving a big problem. I was curious about like the background or industries that you want to focus on currently. And I know your fund is a new one, but do you have any experience in, I guess, other, like, I know you said you funded other startups. I'm curious, like, what industries these startups were in.
Amazing, of course. I didn't want to be too long, to not be sort of boring for everyone. But so I found my first startup that I was still in school. That startup was in the Web2 ecosystem. It was an Airbnb for luxury homes with hotel services. We grow in Europe in about 5-6 countries. We've done that for 5 years. It was a 100-people team. It got acquired by Accor Hotel, which is the third largest hotel group in the world. So that was the first sort of venture. After that, we've been basically investing so from the VC side, we've been investing and backing Web3 founders almost entirely in the Cosmos ecosystem. You may be familiar with it. And we've been there, since 2017, 18, doing about 30, 40 investments. So that also means that, not only as an investor, you see both sides. You see the founder side and also the industry side of things. And then obviously after that, realized that a few of those investments were mostly, writing checks with other VCs and so on. We went far from the initial ethos of the use cases that I'm trying to mention now and talk about, which is why we're bullish with Starknet, which are on those inefficiencies on the ground. And maybe to answer your initial question in the question, it's linked to, you look at the B2B segment, for example, cross-border payment. Like if we just fix this already, it's a big win. We're not trying to come here with some big word or whatever we're going to change. Just fix the problems that are there and that could be leveraged with blockchain, and that could help so many businesses across the entire region. Now, the second use case, as I mentioned earlier without saying the name, is financial inclusion for people. So, for example, you look at West Francophone Africa, that app is allowing taxi drivers, carpenters, people to basically invest from $1 or $2 a day in tokenized bonds from the government that is backed by central sort of banks of Africa, so Western Africa. So that allows you to get 5-6%. You're tapping into a non-crypto base of clients, and they're onboarding like hell on the app because they want to just get exposed there without having to struggle with anything. So there's entire account abstraction way of looking at things, Web2 UX and UI, user face, and this is how you actually crack it, right? And then once you get them, once you get that user acquisition, then you can start gently, slowly educate them on Web3 and so on, but you already have your users, right? Which is completely a different strategy from trying to go and tap into the big pool of, allowing people to invest in Bitcoin or Ethereum, but it's harder because there's so much competition there. So yeah, it's trying to tap into the untapped basically and bringing them on chain. This is more how I would put it.
Okay. From my perspective, it's the cross-border payment is a good solution, but would there be other industries you're looking at? Because it's like cross-border payment is a good one, but maybe a diversity in like applications can help onboard people more. And this is where I kind of like, okay.
Yeah, no, I just put a thumb up. Yeah, I wanted to let you finish your sentence. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is why I also try to avoid and look at an emerging field, which is on-chain gaming. But again, it doesn't have. It's still an emerging field, so there's a lot of things there that still needs to be solved. But instead of focusing on one just industry, is it like what do you think in that regards? Like, would there be multifaceted industry to onboard in Africa?
100%. So the way I put it there, it wasn't written like an industry. It wasn't written B2B payment or whatever. I just said like focusing on sort of inefficiencies. Now the inefficiencies can be in anything. You could come tomorrow and tell me we're tracking the meat sort of logistic in Nigeria. All right. How do you do that? How you put that on chain so that people, whatever. I'm just giving you the various the segments are various, right? And as you said, you got to tap into the new new segments, or at least segments that are going to bring a lot of demand. This is what we need on Starknet, as Elias was sharing. So we got to find those sort of avenues. So on-chain gaming is definitely one of them. And therefore, I put like in between bracket, this is a thesis, and exceptions are obviously there to be made, right? And we're super bullish to back entrepreneurs that are going to be building on stuff that is not necessarily linked to only B2B or B2C sort of payment, right? And there are a lot of use cases there. So gaming is definitely one of them.
Okay, and I guess the follow-up question with that is the fund that backs a startup is awesome, but also like the network that you can bring for the founders. Like if I want to join a fund, I would try to be careful in that. Can they also provide the resource I'm going to need as a founder? And especially, going into a space that it's like uncharted territories, you need a lot of support in that case. How do you see, like, how can you help founders in this kind of uncharted territories in Africa find that or close that gap?
That's going to be definitely sort of, I would say, through human relationships. Because when I've been talking to Okai, because based on your issues for your own business, you may be needing, and that's what you said, the network that we're bringing with Starknet would be more towards Dojo and so on, because you're building on-chain gaming, right? So this is the support that you're going to be getting from our network. Now, Elias on the other side may not be needing at all what you need, and he may be needing an introduction to basically applications that are going to be allowing him to distribute his products to reach mass adoption in different countries where he is, in South Africa and so on and so forth. So this is another level of support that we'll be providing Elias. Darlington as well with something else. So the idea is you have to, and therefore we're not going for a spray and pray strategy where you invest in 30 companies. I said 6 to 8 per year. 6 to 8 per year means that you got to be hands-on, you got to be on the ground with some of them and helping and make the right introductions to leverage the right networks. But yeah, definitely trying to basically pool every resources that we're having and allocate it into the needs of specific teams.
Okay. Yeah, that answers my question. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's very awesome, and I'm actually looking forward to the announcement tomorrow if it eventually goes live. Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people on this call, we have up to 167 people listening live. I'm sure a lot of them are also like very curious to see the call details tomorrow, right? So we have spent so much time on this because I'm just going to give like a summary. This Africa venture fund is a core part of 2025, which is of course like part of the Starknet Africa's timeline, and as well I mean, looking at what we did last year, all of them were amazing, right? But then there is this gap between, okay, a lot of projects like on MVP can't go beyond that, which of course, KK here would, with him and his team would as well like help in that scenario. They also plan to do a bunch of meetups and also like attend like we did during DevCon, right? And as well, give a lot of support to like builders. So the community as a whole is very open for anyone to like come join and learn about Cairo, Starknet, and also like, and I'm sure this fund will be very, very crucial for a lot of people to be interested on Starknet, to build on Starknet. So you just have to maybe be in for the long game, right? But before we close, I actually wanted to like maybe give a long talk on the whole plans. But before we close, I'm quite curious. Like I understand maybe is the state of stagnant in Africa right now that made the whole venture fund stuff to come up. But KK, what do you think is the state of stagnant right now in Africa? I mean, way before the funding like Africa Venture Fund came.
I think it's been, let's be again blunt, I think it's been a lot of good intentions. However, no sort of proper dedication to local sort of impact, which is not necessarily coming from a lack of will, but literally from basically dedication of time, energy, people, and sort of beyond money. And this is coming, it's like anything else, right, in life. When you focus on many things, well, you're just going to be doing 20% on each of those things, right? So I would say we're at a great surface now. Like we've had the penetration, we've had already some proofs of that everything that we've been building for the last sort of years now are paying off. But it is time to go now under that sort of surface level and do some real groundwork and as I said, those bonding amongst teams, because you can be coming on Starknet, you can be building on Starknet, but we got to help beyond that. Otherwise, at some point, there's going to be some limitations when it comes to the usage themselves. So therefore, the focus on use cases that are going to be bringing usage, and that usage is going to be beneficial to everyone building on Starknet.
You're on
I
mute,
think you're on
Paul.
mute, Paul.
Yeah. So this is an open question. Does anyone have any other thing to add to it? Okay. So cool.
Yeah, I basically and I did share this with KK how we handle the distribution handle. Starknet could come up with Starknet or the builders here could also come up with a few suggestions on how do we incentivize builders to build, knowing that their product is going to get into market. Because if everyone's going to build, say, an application, and everyone is launching an application, users do not want to have 10 applications on their phones. So how do we handle the distribution, basically? Yeah. So it's something maybe KK can look into. He doesn't have to answer it right now, and and down the road we shall see how we solve that.
Awesome. Yeah, but I had one last question though, but it still boils down to what the Africa Venture Fund would do. I mean, how to further improve and also support builders, right? So, but apart from Africa Venture Fund, like, do anyone think there are other ways we can actually like support builders, African builders generally? Okay, it's just an open question, yeah.
I'd love to listen because I'm also interested in that one, right? Because there's the fund itself, but I'll leave it to Okai or Darlington to not sort of take the mic from the builders themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
I was
Alright.
thinking. I know. Oh, Darlington, you could go first.
No, no worries. Go first. Go first. Yeah.
So I was thinking about a fellowship-like program for builders, because I know there is like a lot of existing in the Web2 space. Like I'm just going to use that example. There are a lot of existing like let's say events or companies that already support builders in Africa. So if we want to start building on Starknet, instead of like reinventing all the wheels, we need to find this kind of events and kind of like, or we need to find this kind of programs and find a way to educate founders on this kind of thing, because most founders that are coming on Starknet, I'm curious about Web3. I get here, I start building, but you don't know what you don't know, right? So if we can find programs that we can use to bring them and educate them on like all this resource they can use to effectively build better, I think that would be a good program. So a fellowship like program for founders, maybe to help them learn more about being founders on Web3.
Yeah, I think I was about to see something similar because I think one of the should I say the toughest lessons I've learned in the past few months, right, is entrepreneurship is like pretty hard. Do you get? Oftentimes it's more or less like you just jump in thinking, oh baby, I think I can build something cool, and there's always that entrepreneurship bias where you're like, I built this and I think this is cool, so everybody should think this is cool too, and you go into the market and you get like the biggest shock of your life or something like that, right? So I feel like if we could do stuff like fellowships, like small groups to help builders on Starknet, probably like it can be like maybe some sort of when we do base camps, right, for people who are looking to like learn to build on Starknet. We could also do something similar, right, for people who are looking to like build companies and stuff on Starknet, because it goes beyond with just the technical skills, right, to understanding how to come up with products that have market fits, product market fit, to coming up with like understanding how marketing works, how to do good PRs, how to understand the laws and regulations and all those kind of things, right? So there's just a whole lot of stuff that goes into the building besides like knowing how to write Kyra. It's really good if we can help like educate founders who are looking to build on Starknet or like this kind of things. Yeah.
I agree with that. I also want to add one thing, something like a founders archive, maybe where founders on maybe founders on Starknet or Africa, documents like their experience, so that people that just want to kind of learn from that can also kind of tap into that instead of, and they can learn a lot from that kind of archive.
Yeah, yeah, I do agree. Kike, do you have anything to add to this?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So there's a lot that's being now basically being pushed by the foundation that we're going to be sharing also soon when it comes to that, like sort of the first part of the question, okay, about that sort of push and how we can promote that further and help basically foster more and more and more innovation in that sense. But the second part is indeed how do you connect the founders themselves also when it comes to the feedback and what's been done, what's been also not working, so that you don't go through the same sort of mistakes again. And therefore residencies of different stages founder is also great, because you are mixed with potentially founders who are into the 1 to 10 stage when you're in the 0 to 1, and that experience sharing is quite amazing. And yeah, this is what we're also trying to push to have more frequently, in a digital but also in a physical sort of way.
Awesome. Yeah, I do agree with the whole fellowship stuff. I do feel a lot of developers, a lot of builders, right? They need um knowledge around, okay, how they can take their project to the next level, right? Because some people, when they maybe build out the MVP, um thinking on how, okay, how can I actually get users to use my platform, like, be hard, right? So this kind of initiative would definitely help a lot of African builders on Starknet, right? So we are already at the end of this committee call. So does anyone like have any other thing to share, or do you have like any specific stuff you want to talk about and all?
It's been exciting. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everyone else.
Okay, cool, cool. So since we don't have any other thing, we'll be looking forward to the announcement tomorrow on the Africa Venture Fund, which I'm very excited about. And yeah, I'm also happy to see that this is coming to life. And yeah, yeah, that's it basically. So we'll catch up a lot later. Take care, guys.
Take care, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.